You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Past episodes of the Authentic Business Adventures program can be found in the podcast link at drawincustomers.com. We are locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. Today, we are welcoming / preparing to learn from Arjun Sen, the founder and CEO of ZenMango. Arjun, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great and truly a pleasure to be on your podcast. And the two words I really like, especially I like the authentic, but more important, I like the adventure. So to me, life has to be an adventure. And that's the spirit, because when I heard about your podcast, that one word really put me on the spot.
That is the name of the game. And I would love to say that I can take credit for that, but I can't. Actually, way back when I first started this thing, I had another guy that was with me, and we would, the plan was that we would both interview guests and just have a few different perspectives. He flaked. So he left us with a good name, though. So that's good. That's super good.
And I'm glad you're continuing the journey. So,
it's so much fun. You get to meet cool people like you, and I've learned a ton of stuff, tons of little tidbits. I've learned about some great books that I would have never known existed. I've learned about businesses. I mean, even with ZenMango, what you have going on, I would have never known that was a thing, or that what you do is a thing. So it's a learning experience as much for me as for my listeners. At least I hope for my listeners.
absolutely, it is.
Yeah. So tell us, ZenMango, what is ZenMango? Let's start there.
So ZenMango, it started when I was in the corporate world. I was running marketing and operations for Papa John's. And day after 9/11, I realized I was failing in the biggest job of life, which is being a dad. My daughter was 8, and you and I both have 24 hours in a day, which means we need a lot of discipline on how we use the time. And I was just putting all the hours in my work life to move ahead. And when I realized I was a corporate workaholic, I felt, let me do one thing right. So I quit. And consulting started as, what can I do from home to be a dad? Like those days, if you asked me to do anything, I would have done it. Like my first project was doing some sales graphs for a burrito chain who happened to be Chipotle. Okay. Can you do sales graphs? Oh yeah, absolutely. And I remember those $1,200 was the best $1,200 ever. So that's the way ZenMango evolved. So today, the core of ZenMango is that we are all in the feeling business. Okay. And you and I are feeling human beings, like human beings have feelings. And that's the part where, think for a second, is the reason I got excited about the podcast was you spent time talking to me before. You took me through your passion and vision. And I came here excited to talk to this amazing human being who takes time out of day, not to create more value for himself, but value for rest of us. Okay. And that to me made me feel good. So to me, I really think it's all about the feelings, because in India, there's this amazing song where I come from in the city of West Bengal, where it says that if you paraphrase, if you write your name on a piece of paper, it'll tear. If you write it on a rock, it'll fade. But if you put it on the heart, it stays forever. And that's the reason I really think in limited budget, everything, it's all about feelings. And we live by 8 words. Be human.
All right.
Think human.
All right.
That makes you feel human. And then act human.
All right.
And that's what matters, because you don't have to be perfect, because we are all human beings. Human beings are imperfections that make it. Because my daughter reminds me that my left and right eyebrow don't match. I'm like, wow, I'm not even biologically symmetric. So we are different. And I really think being human is so important.
So tell me so the common denominator there is human. So can you go through those individually? Let's talk about be human, right? That's essentially making mistakes and learning from them. Is that right?
Yeah. And I think that's the part where we just really need to understand and put each other in each other's situations. I'll give a very simple example. Was I was traveling to Phoenix, and next morning I had a flight at 6 a.m. Okay. So I booked myself at a hotel close to the airport, and I just had one rule. Arjun, 3:30, get yourself out of bed and in the shower. If I could do that, rest is autopilot. Okay.
Sure.
So I did that. But once I got myself in the shower, I realized there was a little sticker on top of the shower knob, which says turn the knob left and the lever right. And I realized at 3:30 that if I need instructions to turn a shower on, this is no ordinary shower. Okay? I tried. And after 5 minutes, I gave up. I called the front desk, and the kiddo who was there was brilliant. And she said, Arjun, pull it hard, you won't break it, and then turn it right and see what happens. And it worked. Okay.
Whew.
So when I finally got to the airport, I was sitting on the plane. I realized, let's say you are the boss. I work for you. You and I both know there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You say, Arjun, fix it. Arjun goes and finds a water-resistant sticker. That's not easy to find. And I put it out there. But I never stayed in the hotel to see what happens at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. Like, if I cannot make a shower work, I felt stupid. Okay.
Right. So the customer experience is the huge
it's
thing.
like, to me, think for a second, when was the last time you and I love to go back to a business which makes us feel not good, a little stupid? And I just felt that's the part where being human, put yourself in the other person's positions is very important, because that is the core to start with.
Fair. Very fair. Yeah, that's it's interesting how often I run into business owners that have never actually gone through the journey that a customer would go through with their product or service.
Mm-hmm.
They never even thought about it, or I shouldn't say that they didn't think about it. I'm sure that they have thought about it, but they thought about it through their eyes, not necessarily a green consumer or someone that's not aware of how things work.
Totally. And my most amazing boss, Blaine Hurst, who just retired as chairman of Panera, when I was working at Papa John's, he always told me that every week, Arjun, I need you to leave the office and be a customer to our brand, and be a customer to 2 to 3 competitive brands, and then be a customer to any other brand, because it's one big connected world. And unless you feel where the shoe hurts, you don't come up with that solution. You come up with the sticker on the shower solution, which, you can't fire me. I did something.
I solved it.
I solved it. I spent company money, expensed it. So, but Arjun, the customer still did not feel good. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I used to have this thing. I think I still do have this thing on my website deep in there somewhere called Easy as Pie. And the idea is that my call answering service would essentially call a business on whatever business you told us to call, and just let you know, give you a report on how easy it was to do business with you. Because the rule that we have is confused customers don't buy. And so if it's confusing or if it's difficult to do business with you, you're probably going to be missing out on some opportunity.
I love that. But think for a second. How many times you and I walk into a retail place or a restaurant, and we do not know, once we take a first step, where to go? This is just like if you came to my place with your family for, an evening hangout, and you came in and you have no clue what to do. Like, you don't know to go left. Like, very soon you'll take a U-turn and you leave by saying, you have to see yourself there. You see, you belong there, you are welcome there, you are comfortable there, because that is very important. It's like a date. If the date starts by being uncomfortable, and I love what you just talked about, is that whole making it easy to work. If the date starts with, if I was single and let's say my wife Chitra is sitting across, we are still single, And she looks at the first 5 seconds, what the heck am I doing with the goofball? Of course, she'll get the fake phone call and say, Arjun, I have to go. The world needs me. I need to save the planet. I'm like, sure, leave. I know I'm an idiot. But that's what I think you are on. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. So is the idea with ZenMango that you help people with that, or that you walk through that process with them?
Yeah, so I help them connect to the customer feeling. Some of it is what everybody does, is we try to find for a pain point. But what happens is there are three parts to seeing the pain point. Most of us get very excited when we see the pain point. But I really push people by saying pause right there. Seeing beyond is the first and the most important step. Because what you saw and you are putting in your website with that question is what most of us don't see. And that makes you special, one of one. Okay. Seeing beyond is where you get rewarded. And if you don't see beyond at the very beginning, you get into a tunnel vision, you solve for the problem that happens. Okay. If your faucet is leaking, I can send you a faucet. But that doesn't solve. You need the water leak to stop and water to flow from the faucet. So me taking a solution doesn't work. So the second thing then we go through is, once you see beyond, is don't just offer an experience or a solution. Take it all the way to make the person feel good. Like if I worked as an electrician,
Mm-hmm.
my job is to make things not happen.
Right.
Which means I
Sparks.
come in, do things, and I clean and leave, like to the point where if it's your home, your family comes back, what happened? Nothing. I was just there, because nobody needs to know about the drama of what happened. Like, that's it. You feel good that you solved the problem yourself. And that's the part where that feeling is so important. That's the reason, even in today's world, if I walk in with the shoe cover, mask on, gloves on, and everything else, and before I leave anything else I can clean, can I take the trash out or anything? I'm going to the trash anyway. Makes you feel good that Arjun was a good friend.
Right.
And the
Absolutely.
final part is, which is very critical, most of us, even when we get an idea, we jump. But pause. If you pause again and just push the idea and make it bigger. Because a bigger idea, the rewards are exponentially huge.
Mm.
And that's the part where, recently I was going for a face-to-face presentation for the first time, and I realized the back of my hair needed a little patch up, and so I just do my own haircut nowadays. I put some color in, and then I dozed off. And when I woke up, literally this side of the face, I felt like I was in Phantom of the Opera. Okay, and I literally wrote a blog about I couldn't show my face. So I tried nail polish remover. It doesn't work. So nobody should ever try that. It burns, but nothing happens. I called this store, Sally's Beauty Store. Samantha picks up the phone and she knew my problem. She said, come over, I have the solution. I'm like, okay. I go there, still not believing her. I walk in, of course, with my face, she recognized I'm the bozo. She had ready for me the product and says, before you buy, I have a few samples. Go to that corner and use that mirror and see if it works. I go there, I put it on and it worked.
Nice.
And I tried, like it was beautiful. Like think, if she stopped right there, it was wow.
Mm-hmm.
But Samantha being super Samantha, super show off, didn't stop there. Then she said, and sir, there's this extra thing. This is a very nice smelling, good for your skin. It'll just, the rash and the irritation that happened, it'll go away. Just use this. Of course, now I trust her. I put this on and I just felt amazing. And that extra step, now think for a second, all I spent was $6.99. Okay.
Wow.
But for $6.99, she gave me 25 cents of free product, so much attention. Like I felt special. Like this was the first time I come back to the car. I have never, ever used the mirror, which is on top. I even built the mirror down, looked at my face, looked to make sure, wow, Arjun, you look great, man. The face. But that's what making that idea bigger stays in your heart forever. And every time I get a chance, I shamelessly talk about these guys because no friend of Arjun or you should go anywhere and not get treated this This was like a royal treatment. And that's the bigger, making idea bigger.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with someone a couple months ago about how we feel that that customer service
Mhm.
has just been slowly dwindling.
Mhm.
Like just the thought of treating a customer well,
Mhm.
or just doing things that we probably consider common sense. You just look around and you think, what in the world? Why is this not being taken care of? Or
Yeah.
why is this stuff either being forgotten or presented weird, or just the dialogue that you happen to have with some people? How just getting a thank you
Yeah.
or have a nice day kind of thing kind of seems to be, in some cases, a thing of the past.
Yeah, we are becoming efficient. And that's the part where, let me put you in a real life situation. You and I are, let's say, best friends. We grew up together. You texted me by saying, Arjun, I need help. Can you call me? If I tell you that I'll put you on a call back and I'll call you when it's your turn, that's not a good conversation with a friend. Okay?
No.
So this is what happened to me this weekend. Okay?
First, we'll tell you that your call is very important, though, right?
I know. So this is what happened to me this weekend is I'm not very tech savvy, and all of a sudden, all my home alarm, everything that I had put in, they started malfunctioning. I started getting alarms, everything else. So I called these guys. I thought I'll call them. So they tell me I'm number 178 and they'll call me back. And sometimes the call takes till next day.
Wow.
Like, I cannot wait like that. Okay. And finally, when they finally call me, and I'm just looking at by saying, I don't want to miss this call because, so this guy told me that, hey, you need to change the batteries. I'm like, okay, I'll change the batteries already. He said, oh, it still didn't work. I said, no. He said, you must have bought cheap batteries. I said, no, I didn't buy cheap batteries. Like, now I'm just getting defensive. Like, my wife's right there. She's like, Arjun, did you buy cheap batteries? I said, you stay out of it. Like, it was a chaos. Okay. So finally, I had enough. Okay. I go to a different company, buy their stuff. And now, next day, I want to disconnect the services. So the person who was there tells me, sir, you still have to pay for 1 month because we have a contract. I says, okay, but I went through a very bad day yesterday and I was a customer with you for 5 years. Shouldn't you just forgive the $45? She's like, I can't. I said, nowhere in the contract was that you'll call me back like in 3 hours, like that you added. So this goes on. And finally, I just play the card because, I'm still believing that customer is all powerful. And I just say, can I talk to your supervisor? And she says, I am the supervisor. I said, are you the CEO of the company? She said, no. I said, okay, can I go up to somebody else? Because I just have this urge to share. She said, yeah, you can, but I can assure you, most probably nobody will call you back because this complaint of yours is not worth resolving because you're leaving anyway. I just said, thank you. Because in my whole life of customer experience, I have never felt this kind of a disregard ever.
Mm.
I even asked her, like, would you be able to talk to me like this if this happened, let's say, at a retail store, customer service where 3 other people are standing around? You wouldn't. Like the very fact we are having the one-on-one conversations,
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason this callback. Like, think, as your best friend, you say, Arjun, it's urgent. I pick up, drop everything and call you, buddy, now. Because urgent means on your terms.
Right.
Not, I'll call you this week, maybe next week. Like, that doesn't work. And then if you are unhappy, come on, $40, that's all it took. Or even they could have said nicely, I'm so sorry, can't do it. Fine, good for you, have a good day. But that's the part where you really nailed that we are becoming more about efficient, but not understanding what it feels to be on the other side.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the times that I run into businesses that have what I would consider to be less than, we'll call it even remotely good customer service, I don't even think they're that efficient. I think maybe they're cheap. So maybe they're hiring a little bit of the B team and they're not giving that B team any training of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're hiring people that maybe just don't get it, the customer service thing. And then you're not training them to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the result is frustrated customers and arguably frustrated employees that I imagine there's a lot of turnover.
Yeah, and to me, I think, the example, the way you broke it down, I really love that. And this really helps me understand that it's a step beyond, because if I was the founder and owner of the company,
Mm-hmm.
and if I, it's the visionary and the leader defines why we exist in the business. And to me, if customers leaving with a wow is not important, because of that, as you said, I'm not hiring the right people, I'm not training the right way, I'm not aligning them to what is there, empowering them, that becomes the huge challenge. And that's the part where with any business, we start also by asking who your customer is. Why are you there? Because you have to be one of one. Like, you can't survive in this business world by being another service provider.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a niche where you're the only person who offers that. Okay.
Right. Otherwise, you become a commodity.
Commodity, absolutely.
Yeah. People
And
will go
then,
for save 20 cents.
yeah, and you're gone. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, the thing is, we must all have this very clear picture of what every customer gets every time. And when they leave, what they feel. Okay.
Mm.
Going back to, again, I can't talk enough about Samantha, is some anywhere else, I would have left with a product which I would have thought it worked. Samantha made sure I left with a product that I know works.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I got it from a person, I use the word not lightly. I was fortunate, lucky, and blessed to connect with Samantha. And again, most probably in life, I would not see her ever again. I wish her the very best in everything in life. But that interaction was purposeful and brilliant, and wow. That, like, think, I cannot stop talking about her. I spent $6.99.
She's got
And
to raise her prices here.
I'm telling you, she needs to charge more for the smile she has given me. So
Yeah, especially a guy comes in there with a bunch of stuff on his face and you
I
can fix his
know.
problem. He's not shopping around.
Yeah. And to me, I think this is huge. Like when we were buying our car, we bought our car for the goofiest reasons. Okay.
Oh.
Because so my wife and myself, with our little dog Yuki, we had gone to different dealership, blah, blah, blah. Everywhere is wait and switch. They tell us about, we were looking for a 1 to 2 year used car with a low mileage. Everywhere they go, it's like, yeah, we had the car, it just got sold out. I'm like, okay. So finally we are tired and we stop at that last dealership, literally close to our house. And I'm just sitting there and they just had the car, which, they told me they would have, which was a surprise. And all of a sudden, my wife, who is sitting at the lobby or the lounge, texts me by saying, "You need to come here right now." I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, come over right now." I go there and see the service manager has brought a bottled water, chilled and iced, and had a doggy bowl and was putting the water for our little dog, Yuki.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I had to take a picture. And I just felt, for somebody who sees and feels this way, not only gives my wife a bottled water, I don't think our dog Yuki has ever had a bottled water. Okay. So this was the first in his life. But that level of feeling made me realize, when these guys have that kind of a heart and a feeling, this is the person I want to do business with. So it's not just $6.99. This is a $30,000-$40,000 car.
Sure.
But it's, in both those cases, it's all about feelings. Like, its feelings are so important for us. Like, we are human beings. And that's the part where I just want to show that it's just both. It doesn't matter how much you spend. Feelings are always important.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Let's dip into the think human part, because I was kind of mulling that in my head.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to think human?
Think human to me is, if you have a challenge, you come to me because you're expecting me to solve the problem. Okay. So not only do I put you in that position, but I also start thinking, what exactly do you need?
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular case, Samantha started feeling by saying, this guy will come in. He talked about a presentation. I need to show him that this search stops here. He doesn't have to go to 5 other stores, because most probably I would have gone to 2 other stores, buy 3 other products, see which one works. And of course, the interaction and the allergies would have just, made my other side of the face to vanish too. But that's what she thought for me, and took the problem to beyond a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that connects to the third one, is feel human. Because
Mm-hmm.
then she started looking at, is what should Arjun feel when Arjun leaves? Because she could have been a great salesperson and told me, this is the best, this is my favorite, blah, 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 everything else. No, she showed me, she proved to me it works. Then she gave me the extra soothing thing. Oh, I still can feel it. It was like that, showing off. I even told her, girl, you are a show off. She said, Arjun, she had a smile. I said, I love that. I absolutely love that. I can't stop to tell my wife about you and how amazing you are. And I think that thinking for me, and finally feeling that as my best friend, where do you want to take me? Once those two happen, then you act, and it's so easy.
Nice. I like that. I like that. And that takes us to the act human part.
Mm-hmm.
There's some humans that are acting in different ways. So how do you mean it?
Yeah. So to me, I just think that's the part where it that's the part, it's that part goes beyond business.
Okay.
That's the part, it's about simple courtesy.
Mm.
It goes back to the golden rule, how we like to be addressed. And the most important thing again there is pausing for each other. Okay. So today, when we start the podcast, just to make me feel comfortable, you took extra time, 5 to 10 minutes before you were here. Okay. You paused for me. That's it's just like if you invited me over to your place with our families to come over, you would have taken time to get ready and cook. Like that extra time, pausing for me is very important.
Mm-hmm.
You're at a retail or a restaurant or a hospitality somewhere. The manager comes in and says, how are things? Everything okay? Most of the time, these are like California stops. They don't even stop for you. It's like the person goes like, are you okay? No.
Wait.
Yeah. When you as your friend, I all of a sudden meet you in the grocery store, I stop. I look at you, eye contact. Hey, how are you? Everything okay? Kids okay? This okay? Like, I ask not to check a box. I ask not to come back and tell my wife. I met my friend. I asked how he is. My wife's like, how are they doing? I don't know. I just asked him.
He answered fine.
He said, yeah, fine. What will be wrong? If there was anything wrong, he would have told me. Okay. But there's a lack of caring there. Okay. On the other side, I would have come back and right away said, not only that, their son is now doing this and you need to talk to his wife. And also both of them, like they're doing this new refinishing on their dining table. They're so excited. We should go and, yes, because I care. And that's the human part, is delivering has to be done at a human level.
Mm.
The example I gave you of the alarm company, everything else, I'm not telling them how to do business, but a very simple things are, even when you say no, I understand no means no, they are running a business, but don't make me feel bad about the no. Make me
Right.
be part of you,
Mm-hmm.
and we are all reasonable human beings. That's the core, is that be reasonable with me, because once you get that stubborn Arjun out, you triggered it. I want to be understanding. The customer always wants to be understanding. And that's the part where being human, if you act human, the customer also treats you like a human. Like, think, you're at a restaurant and they forgot to bring you something you ordered.
Mm-hmm.
A few minutes later, the manager comes running by saying, hey, I'm so sorry. We forgot. Not only that, we give you a full portion. And if it's okay with you, can we get free dessert? You choose for the kiddos. You right away said, no, you don't have to, but that's a good, you didn't have to. And that's what human beings do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's very interesting. It's a good observation. it seems like there's that's a lost art to a lot of people. I imagine even sometimes myself, you just get so in the zone, you got so many plates that you're spinning. That sometimes I imagine I've probably taken customers for granted, not intentionally,
Mhm.
but you just throw an email out there that says, "Hey, how's it going?" And if I don't hear a response, I just assume everything's well without any follow-up. That it would be interesting to just say, "Hey," I guess without being creepy, right? "Hey, I haven't heard from you. How are things
Yeah.
going?"
And I think that's the part where boundaries are very important because, just like if I was single and I was dating my wife,
Mm-hmm.
I can just send her one message. And if she doesn't respond, maybe one more, but that's it.
Sure.
And then I should have got the answer by saying, she doesn't like me, but that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
Because she saw this side of the face. If only she saw this side, that would have been a difference.
Wait, Samantha helped me.
Help me, Samantha. Yeah, it's all about Samantha C. But I work with some sports personalities too in branding.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the top golfers one time taught me that in life it's all about that one thing that you need to focus on at this instant. Okay. So at this instant, for both of us, we have turned our phone off, everything, because this is all that matters. Okay. That's all
Mm-hmm.
we do.
Mm-hmm.
He explained to me that when he walks, he feels every part of the grass. When he chews gum, he chews the gum. That's all he does. He feels like, oh.
Wow.
When he sees the ball and the line for a putt, that's all he sees. When he sees a target, he sees everything to the point he says, Arjun, the leaves get bigger or the grass gets bigger, the target. And that's the power of focusing on that one thing at any point of time. Because think for a second, if you and I both worked as baristas at a Starbucks, okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's not an easy job because on a given day, I don't know, maybe 1,400, you and I each make 40, serve for 1,400 people together.
That's surreal to me. That blows my mind.
But on the other side, if Arjun comes as a customer, I only will come to Starbucks only once today. I want to
Mm-hmm.
leave with that white cup with the green logo and pay obscene amount of money and feel good. So to me, from the employee's point of view, I totally understand that it is one of many.
Mm-hmm.
But to understand from the customer's point of view, it's one of one. That if let's say I'm allergic and I cannot have milk, I need to have, almond milk.
Mm-hmm.
If you make the mistake and the problem that happens, I understand you're still at 99%. But for me, 100% of my orders fail today. So that's the whole part of, we put that, just push brands is one customer at a time. That's the way you build your business.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us, so it's like, to me, it's all about wow, that one person, like pause for that person when you're in front. I've even talked to some amazing hospitality brand. This is what they do. If you and I are having a conversation, the general manager, instead of just walking past, will just pause. And once he has eye contact with you, he'll talk to you and smile through the eyes.
Oh, interesting.
And as he talks to you, he will never lose eye contact with you.
All
And
right.
then this last part really was wow. Okay. When he makes his exit, visualize, he makes his exit over your shoulders. That means he walks past you. He doesn't turn and show his backside to
Oh,
you
there's the
ever.
showman.
I know. I just was wow. Like so to me, I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, so I don't know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But what I felt, if somebody goes into that much care, right away it makes me think, what else is this guy doing? Like
Right.
that's the kind of person takes service to that level that even like that's where you get wowed over and over again, because that's the level. It's the flip side of what you and I were talking earlier. These are people who care to that level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Man, the little things that you can do that really, what does it take for him to go,
Yeah.
let's just say to your left, right?
Yeah.
Past you that
Over
way
your shoulder.
versus
Yeah. instead of showing the backside. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a steps. It's
yeah,
marginal at best
totally.
for what he has to do,
Hmm.
but the value to it
Hmm.
of what it gives you from an emotional point of view
Hmm.
is on the verge of priceless, right?
Oh, totally. I'll give you another example. This is, like anytime I go to a grocery store, if I ask for something, I'm usually told aisle four, bottom left. Okay. It's a
Yeah, it's
disaster.
over
I
there.
get like, yeah. And that's like the treasure hunt, scavenger hunt. I never win. Okay. I don't even try. Okay. And then recently I was at the grocery store. I was just asking for, coconut, you know, any kind of, do you have frozen coconut or something like that? This man says, oh, I think I know, but let's figure it out. I'm like, okay. So he walks. He actually goes and he said, "Ah, I would have told you aisle 14 bottom left, but there's nothing here. Let's try somewhere else." And now there was a different scavenger hunt because I know this guy is not going to stop. Then he showed me this is a frozen, this is a can, this is there. When I left that day, I felt if I walked in this store and if my key performance indicator was how many steps I have taken today with my customers,
Mm,
because we are all step conscious, like the 10,000, like we are all stuck with
sure.
that. Why can't we use the same mindset inside? Like today, you have taken 1,400 steps and you're the champion, all time record. Like tomorrow, I want to take 1,401. And every step you take with the customer, or as you mentioned earlier, is like the small things. But to me, it's a big deal. Like I come back and again, I'm very insecure. These things make a big difference. I have to tell my wife right away, guess what? I met my new bestest friend, Chad. And Chad walked with me in the grocery store and found me three kinds of coconuts. I said, she's like, you didn't buy all. I said, I had to. If Chad shows you, you buy. She's like, what will we do? I said, I don't know. Let me call Chad and find out what to be done. But I had to buy what he showed me
Mhm.
because he put the effort in. And, that stays here.
That's cool. That's very cool. So, how long have you had ZenMango?
Uh, it's day after 9/11, so it's nearly 20 years now.
Wow. So things have changed from an ability for even just the different channels for where you can market.
Oh, totally, totally.
So what type of businesses do you typically work with? You mentioned some
So
professional
restaurant,
athletes.
hospitality, sports personalities. And to me, I think, you know, for a small brand like ours, the best marketing is putting a heart into every customer every time,
Mm,
because it's the word of mouth and the references that take us beyond.
hmm.
Uh, it's very tough for me to market myself, you know, and we are doing some social media and a few things, but it's tough. It's tough to break through. And that's the reason I just find that every opportunity you get, you just wow that customer. Because to me, I really think that's the biggest opportunity is we don't work for only brands, we work for the individuals that's there. And I also understand if you give me a project, you're not hiring you don't have a backup, which means your career depends on my success and what we do.
Right.
And that's the part where I take it both for the brand and for the personal very seriously, because you gave me a position of responsibility. It's like babysitting. You can't just say that I followed this, did the CPR. No, my job is to get the baby back to you with a big smile, all body parts, no fingers were damaged, nothing like that, because that is very important. And I think taking the responsibility, that's the way that we are building the business as we go through. Times are tough at times, but somehow I just feel that there's enough goodwill that helps you rebound and come back very strong.
Yeah, I would say every business has ebbs and flows, whether it's a typical seasonality or a left hook of 2020
Yeah.
that some businesses had to take on the chin. Or arguably we all had to take on the chin, I guess. You just have to adapt and move on.
Yeah, and I think that adapt and move on is so important, because that's the part where you always have to, even when you're small, you have to evolve constantly.
Oh, constantly. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's like if I was today iPhone 12, I have to always invest to be iPhone 13, 14, 15, because otherwise, especially for a smaller business,
Mm-hmm.
being branded as yesterday's solution is a disaster. And again, this is not my concept. Somebody taught me, and you must have also heard about it. Most of us is what I've learned is to constantly evolve this concept of fabulous five. You need to, because you and I alone cannot get there. There are thought leaders who need to hang out with. So who are the five people you need to hang out with
Oh, I
based
have
on,
not heard of that before.
and that's an amazing thought process. Like to me, when I want to learn social media, I find the most amazing person ever. And I want to be an apprentice with that person. Okay. And because that's the part where, which is very important, is the best way you evolve is having that those five people, you watch them from close, learn. And after some time you evolve, and then you just say thank you to one of the five, and then you add somebody else on a different dimension. But those five are very critical because for you to get to that next level, the skill already exists with somebody maybe in a different industry. Instead of reading books or anything to invent, why don't we just, you know, and the same way be on somebody else's Fab Five too. So it's all about giving and taking, but give, both are parallel, but giving also you evolve.
Interesting. How, I guess I'm familiar with the theory, but I haven't heard it like the Fab Five like that. So that leads to the question, how do you find those five? How do you find the people that are the professionals that you're after when there's a lot of people saying that they are the professionals, and after you chat with them or spend some money with them, you learn not exactly the cream
No,
of the
so I'm
crop here.
talking about free. This is not paying money. So to me, I just feel
Oh,
that this is the part where, when you and I connect, and
mm-hmm,
I right away realize that there's something you do.
mm-hmm,
And that's the part where I just ask you, first of all, what can I do to help you? And can I have you as a mentor, please? Because to me, I think that's the part where very important is I won't take time. I'll sign an NDA. I'll just assist you in a few meetings. I want to see how you operate. Okay.
mm-hmm.
And, to me, for example, there's this incredible gentleman called Chad, and, we both know Chad.
Chad the coconut guy.
Yeah. And so with Chad, with Scalex, I think, I'm talking about Chad at Scalex. So when
Oh,
I got to,
sorry.
so
Different
I think he
Chad.
could be a coconut guy too, but, he doesn't share that with me. But when I met him, what I realized was he knows how to connect dots.
Mm-hmm.
Chad knows, he doesn't just give you a LinkedIn solution with checks boxes by saying, I connected you. He knows at the end how to connect it to the business. And he also understands that the wrong content does not create the best reach.
Mm-hmm.
So he and his team sat with me to help me with my content. I had a little pride about I knew, but I don't know how to market myself. I don't.
Mm.
And that was the part where I really, and right away when I realized this is a guy who connects the dots, I just am hanging out with Chad in any way I can. And that I also want to add value. Every chance I get, I keep boarding him by saying, what can I do? But just seeing him from close has been such a incredible journey as you start going through. And those are the people you have to find, and they have to have a blend of functional skills and also a personality blend, because you you know because without the personality blend, it's very tough to connect with people. You have to connect with these people at a very deeper level.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I like that. Okay. So I'm taking that a different direction. I like that. I want to ask you before I forget about ZenMango. I got to ask you where the name came from.
I'm so glad you did. It always makes me happy. uh, Initially we were called Restaurant Marketing Group because I came from restaurants, was working in restaurants.
Well, that is two different feelings right there.
I know, and it could have got worse.
Okay.
So when my clients left restaurants, I had to get a new name.
Mm.
And my daughter was 13, and she had just been nominated by Ad Age magazine at the age of 13 to be 40 under 40.
Wow. Way under
That
40.
was this classic day. Yeah, I'm so proud. Like that was this amazing day. We are all sitting, my team, we are in my basement talking about what the new name would be. And we are coming from worst name, that restaurant marketing group. We are coming like strategic marketing group, like square names, circular names. And then my daughter comes and says, hey, Dad, if I gave you a name, would you buy pizzas for Joey and me? I'm like, sure. 10 minutes, that's all it took. 10 minutes later, she comes in, the little kiddo goes to the, easel and she writes there on the white notepad, ZenMango. I'm like, ZenMango. Like, she says, no, hear me out. She says, Zen rhymes with our last name, Sen. And also it puts you in a position of superiority. It just tells you wisdom. I'm like, oh, I like this already.
Mm-hmm.
She said, then mango I added because mango is the world's fastest growing fruit. And also the colors allow you to keep the current orange colors of the restaurant marketing group. I was like, not bad. And then she had also drawn a mango and put the side by saying, Dad, you always say awesome. I even put the things around the mango to build that. Okay.
Huh.
But being a dad, I could not believe that when we were struggling to get anything started, this kid just comes with a finished product. So I said, oh, okay, we'll think about it. Cody in my team was very smart. She said, hey, kiddos, she bought them pizzas. And she said, Arjun, this is such an amazing name that it'll take us years to appreciate. And what she told me, I never forgot, was every time you tell the story, older you get, you feel good associating with the name because it came from an amazing origin.
Right.
And so to me, every time I talk about ZenMango, I don't share the story every time. I'm so glad you asked. It just makes me feel that, to me, my daughter is 26. She's in Philadelphia. She's coming home this week. But every time I talk about ZenMango, I just connect with my amazing princess. Of course, she doesn't like to be called princess anymore. She's a young lady. Sure. But it just is an amazing connection. And I'm so glad she gave us the name.
That is pretty cool. When you're talking about feelings before, it's so interesting that the name ZenMango brings all these feelings. Mm-hmm. And Restaurant Marketing Group, if ever there was a name that was commoditized.
I know.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's night and day.
Yeah. And Restaurant Marketing Group, we even used to call us as RMG, like cool RMG. Like really? I had no clue what I was thinking. So.
Oh, wow. That is painful to think about. That's so interesting.
I know.
It's interesting because you see, I like to joke with people on the colors of, or the names of the colors of paint, mm-hmm. or the names of a microbrew, or the names of some new app. Mm-hmm. They always come up with some weirdo name. They make up a word, they add a Z or a Q or an X to it, and they call it good. And you're like, what is that? But ZenMango, I guess the first time that I heard that name, I think I still got the impression that you were in marketing. I didn't even know anything about you. So it's kind of interesting. I have no idea why. But yeah, that's a way cooler name. Plus, it's way more memorable.
Thank you.
Than Restaurant Marketing Group. I can only imagine somebody does a Google search on Restaurant Marketing Group. They're like, which one is it?
I now regret telling the story to you. You're keeping saying Restaurant Marketing Group. Like
no.
Again. I'm going to wake up in the middle of the...
This is the beautiful part about the authentic part of Authentic Business Adventures, right? Because the idea, like I had a company called Doc Jams. It was a printer repair company. Mm-hmm. We had more than a few people call us to see if we could DJ their wedding. Mm-hmm. Because they thought Doc Jams was a DJ. Mm. I don't even know how they came across us, how they found us. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they went to our website, they would clearly see we're not DJs. Mm-hmm. But just that name alone, mm-hmm. we had people, I actually had to reach out to a DJ and I said, hey, we're getting these phone calls for DJs and I don't want to tell them, no, we're not a DJ. I want to say, no, we're not a DJ, but here's a DJ.
Yeah.
So I just got this guy's name. He was cool getting free referrals, yay.
And when you
And I
refer
just,
them, just ask them, if you have a dye on your face, I can also connect you to Samantha.
right. I know Samantha. Oh, that's awesome.
So I have a
So
question for you. I have a
yeah,
question
fire
for you.
away. Fire
We
away.
talked about the word adventure. Okay.
Hmm.
But I also want to talk about the word authentic, because to me, that is such an important thing, not just in business, but life to everywhere.
Hmm.
Like so many times, even in dating profiles for my single friends, I just look at, they put a picture of them from 20 years back. I said, do you
Oh,
realize when you meet this person, hopefully you'll ever meet, it's not you. So
right.
to me, help me understand authenticity. Like you guys put it in the name, so it's so important. So where
Hmm.
did it come from and how to be authentic? Like I really have to ask that question.
Sure. So I'll answer it with a story, a short story, because that's the easiest way or best way. Um, this is, I don't know, we're on 140 whatever episodes. So we do one a week. So let's just call it 2.5 years ago. Um, a person that I know in business, I invited to be on the show, and he's going to come on the show 2 days before. He says, "Hey, James, can you just give me a list of the questions that you're going to ask me?" And I replied back, "No, because I don't have a list.
Mhm.
Because I just tell you, it's just like we're going out for coffee. We just happen to have microphones and a camera on us." At the
Mhm.
time, then it was in a radio studio. There wasn't even a camera. And he's like, "I really want to be prepared. So could you just come up with some questions and give them to me?" And he's pretty persistent on asking this. I'm like, "All right, if it'll make you feel better, whatever, I'll put together some questions and then I'll email them to you." The show happens and I'm thinking, "Oh man, I actually got to ask him the questions that I told him I would ask him." So I asked him the questions and he had a prepared answer. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is the driest interview in the world," because this guy practiced his script. Right? So there's no authenticity about that. He probably bounced it off maybe his employees or his wife and said, "Hey, can I say this, or how
You
should I
did a
word
focus group.
this?"
We
And
have done a focus group also.
oh my, yeah, right. He went to a focus group to figure out how to respond to James's questions. And it was so dry. It's still up there. I don't want to tell you which one it is because I don't want to make the guy feel bad, but it was interesting. I'm just in the studio thinking, I got to throw this guy a curveball. I just got to ask him something that was not on the script and just see what happens.
Mhm.
And it went way better because after at that point, we are probably 15, 20 minutes into the interview and he was comfortable. He's in his chair, he's got the microphone set, and we're all good, even though he's having his little memorized scripted dialogue. So then I think I just asked him a question like, when was the moment that you decided to quit the job and start the business?
Mhm.
Because every entrepreneur has that moment
Mhm.
when they're just like, "I'm here, I want to be there, I gotta cut some ties here and make that happen." And when I asked him that, then it went much smoother.
Mm.
So the intention of the word authentic was to point out or maybe bring the stories alive of the failures as well as the successes
Mhm.
with the people that we have on the show.
And also,
The
I love
whole
what you talked about is this becomes like a real conversation. Like if you and I met for coffee
Mhm.
through a common friends connection, we would not meet with, okay, before we meet James, these are five
right?
things you will ask me. Tell me what those are. And these are the four things. Like I have a podcast too, nothing like yours. And and I give some of the questions. And what was funny was this one guy says, yeah, Arjun, the next question that you're supposed to ask me, I can connect both together. Okay. And
No, you're
another
good off
person
script.
tells me one time was at the end, he came so prepared and I just was running, a little late because some of the answers went long. So I just was rapping. He said, no, 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 there's one more question you asked, which I didn't answer. I'm like, go for it. And it just becomes, because I totally get it, because how important authenticity is, because I'm so glad. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. I guess the whole point of the podcast
Mhm.
was to one, help existing entrepreneurs grow,
Mhm.
and also to help people that are considering venturing out on their own in whatever business that they're considering, to take the leap, to take that bold step, knowing that there's no such thing as an overnight success. Anything that you can look at that you believe to be an overnight success probably took at least a decade, if not more.
Yeah, and what I also like is, even though you are carrying it on in a conversation, you process things so fast and you drop these one-liners, because I'm going to later on listen to this and write down. No, listen, in the last 1 minute, you talked about in every entrepreneur's mind, there is that one moment. Okay.
There is.
And that's such a powerful thing. That's such a powerful thing, is sometimes we forget. And to me, that was very important, that when I look at in tough days to everything, I just went back by saying, no, I did this to be a dad first.
Right.
So I cannot change the key performance indicators or the goal line right now, because I really think that those one-liners, zingers from you are so important, that even though it's an authentic adventure, it is not about both of us just, walking anywhere, everywhere. You just have a master plan. And I love the way you bring these one-liners in. And that, I think, makes the adventure not only fun, but also worth going through.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I know of, well, I guess I don't know of that many business owners that are not enjoying themselves. I like to tell them, if you're not enjoying your business, you're the one that built it, man. So you got to either fix that or get out. Because what was the whole point of starting your business anyways, right? You want to spend more time with your daughter. So that was a priority to you. So if your business started to take more of your time so you couldn't, you got to fix that.
Yeah.
Because that's going away from the whole point of starting the business. I feel like a lot of times entrepreneurs just get...
a one-liner right there. If your business is going away from your purpose, you are the person to fix it. And
name of the game, right?
Repeating what James says. I'm telling you, I could be in that business.
Right. That's the name of the game, right? Yeah. The rule is...
It's not obvious to everyone. Like what you're pointing out is not obvious. We blame everybody. And that's the reason I love this discussion is, and I don't use love, casually. It's a cool discussion, that those one-liners from you are amazing nuggets that trigger thoughts in all our minds.
Yeah, we gotta, I guess the rule is that you have to give people content as fast as possible, right? Because they don't have the attention span to pay attention to more. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that. They're fun. It's so interesting you say that, the blame thing, mention the blame thing. I was teaching a business plan class way back when you could teach in person, and people that would come up with the excuses for why they either wouldn't start their business or wouldn't grow their business. Man, it was so amazing how many excuses they could come up with. I'm like, in the end, you're the owner. Like there's no man for you to blame on, right? You are the man. So, or woman or whatever, right? Like you're the person.
And one of the things I have found is many a time excuses come in on a journey where we do not know what the first step is. And once you take the first step, it's so much easier. Okay. And then you also don't have a clear picture of the last step. Okay. Because the last step is the reason we are doing this. And I'll give an example is, I also try to help people somewhat, not at that scale you're doing, but sometimes we don't put the mirror on ourselves. I wanted to start a podcast. For the last 3 years, I found every possible reason why not to do a podcast. Like the person who gave you excuse, I can beat that person any day with my excuses. Like they were goofier excuses ever. Okay. But then what I found was I needed to find that Fab Five, that one person, and I needed that person to help me take the first step and also have a clear vision on what the last step would be. Because once you have the last step, that means once you take the first step, there's no stopping. You have to, like, once you start a race and you know, and you feel what it feels like to cross the finish line and, feel that tape that they hold just for you. And you just, like, I did it. Okay.
Right. There's momentum.
So those are the two things. Anytime there's an excuse, I push people because it's, we are human beings again. Like, it's okay to be scared, because inertia is very important, because what you have not done before. And that's the reason I think, that first step and the last step, when people find then the excuses, like now I don't even remember my amazing podcast excuses. I think I had 101 of those, but gone, they're gone. Like they're in the same place with the restaurant marketing group. Like you haven't used the phrase for.
Well, you were spending your time coming up with excuses instead of making something happen.
Yeah.
It's same amount of brain power.
Yeah. Or more.
Right. Arguably more. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you're always with that thought that, that incomplete, that failure in your mind stays with you and it defines you.
Mm-hmm.
Until you try, you don't know whether you fail or not. If you don't try, you're a failure anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've had certain business decisions, or arguably quite a few business decisions, that were not the greatest in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you just dust yourself off and move on, right?
Yeah.
Just get up one more time and you get knocked down.
See, another one-liner: dust yourself and run.
Nothing to it, right?
I should be like your sidekick on your podcast. I'm serious. Like, throw in these.
You gotta shave your hair and put the sunglasses on.
Yeah, I can do that too. I just can't.
Oh, that's funny. Arjun, this has been a lot of fun.
Truly my pleasure. Truly my pleasure.
How can people find you online?
Arjun at ZenMango.com. Just go to ZenMango.com.
ZenMango.com. That is awesome. Is there, I guess, what is the target market that you're after as far as businesses go?
So to me, primarily in hospitality, restaurants, service industry. But the bigger challenge to me is any business, anybody, even if you are B2B or B2C, at the end, there is a C.
Mm-hmm.
And for a C, that customer being a human being, just to connect the dots and show you how you can be successful in the feeling business.
Mm-hmm.
I really think I get goosebumps when brands get it. Sometimes it results in a new tagline, a new way of delivering service, because humans, it's like we are at a creative best when we find that new thing. Like that new thing, literally, again, this part is very cheesy, but I feel that insight makes action inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And we as humans are amazing, but it's all about that first domino. Once together, we can push that and nudge that, and then to see how everything falls in place, and then better experience, better everything. It's really fun.
Nice. I love it. So Arjun, that's Arjun, correct?
Yes, please.
So Arjun at ZenMango.com. This is super cool. And is your podcast on that same website?
Yes, it's all there.
Very cool. Very cool. We'll have to send some listeners over your way.
That would be an honor.
It doesn't hurt. How often do you record your podcast?
I try to do it once a week.
All right.
But I'm
very
just
cool.
a novice compared to you. This is my first year. I just have crossed 40 episodes. Just started.
Man, you're probably 4 times at least what most people that start podcasts are doing. So, and you're.
Yeah, but I'm the guy who had 101 excuses over 2 years. So.
You are not alone there. This started as a potential radio show. Oh man, 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been stewing in the back of my head for a long time, and I stumbled upon a local radio studio here that would let me do a show, and it just blossomed from there. So. Mm-hmm. It's just little things like that can contribute to the momentum, sometimes even when you're not looking for it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's just the way it goes. Cool. Well, thank you, Arjun. This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Coming to you, Arjun, I don't even know where you are. Where are you at? Where are you at today?
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. Beautiful Denver, Colorado. I love it. And I am in Sun Prairie, and this is underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you're listening to this on the web, please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all that stuff to bring on other new listeners, because that's how we keep making new podcasts, right? My name is James Cademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call. offering call answering services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com, as well as Draw In Customers Business Coaching, offering business coaching services for entrepreneurs in all stages of their business on the web at drawincustomers.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur and all of us, available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Arjun Sen, founder and CEO of ZenMango. Arjun, why don't you tell us one more time how people can find you?
Just go to ZenMango.com.
ZenMango.com.
First name is Arjun, Arjun. So the email is arjun@zenmango.com.
Awesome. Arjun at ZenMango.com. Perfect. Find us airing locally, way locally, at 103.5 Wednesdays at 1 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m., and you can find us online, of course. We're on YouTube, and past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.